So now we're going to look at operation strategies, kind of these things that I'm talking to you guys about in a slightly different way. We're going to name that competitive priorities and competitive capabilities. Okay. So what I said before was okay. The companies select or choose a specific goals, and we're gonna call those goals competitive priorities or competitive capabilities. Okay. So the competitive priorities are these critical dimensions or goals that a company must have to satisfy the customers. And the capabilities, competitive capabilities, are the things that they have. So the example that I gave to you guys of McDonald's being good in cost, being good in delivery, which is the time aspects of that, are competitive capabilities, right? So they are really good at that. And competitive priorities are things that they must be good at, and actually if that links, if they must be actually is what they are, right, that's when you have a successful organization, right? Because if they say that they're good in something but they're not actually good at that, you'll be very disappointed, right, as a customer. Okay, so there are these four categories, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes less, but kind of talked about the overall things that companies usually target. So they're either good in cost, low cost products. They're good in quality, high quality or high performance, like doing the same thing all over again. They could be very good in time and delivery or in flexibility. And then flexibility can be in different ways, like flexibility to deliver to you or flexibility to reach you. Flexibility can have kind of different aspects, right? So we talked about competitive priorities. These are some of them. Examples, right? So we have McDonald's there with consistent quality. That's because McDonald's is everywhere in the world, and they have to do very similar, not the same, but very similar Big Macs all over the place, or hamburgers and all that. You have Rolex with top quality. We talked about Costco, delivery speed. We have Amazon, which is increasing their delivery speed, getting better and better. 1 day deliveries, and now 2 day deliveries. Not during the pandemic, but all the rest of the time they were pretty good in delivering. And there are ways to do that, right? So what I was talking to you guys about, the example that I was giving of McDonald's, was how are they able to be cheap, right? How are they able to be a low cost product? You have other examples. I'm going to discuss some of them in class because I think it's kind of, I can get examples and we can talk about what this company good at and all that in class as well. Okay. So here we have other examples. Just read through that, take a look. Some examples of flexibility. Customization is a very important aspect. A lot of companies want to supply exactly the product that you want, and we're going to talk a lot more about that as well. So this next slide talk about what we call the process view. So where we're looking in the customer lenses, right? So what a strategy wise, what a company's going to be good at, right? Now looking at, okay, how can they be good at, right? How can they be good in cost or delivery or any flexibility or time, right? They do that by organizing their resources in a way to provide that competitive capability, right? And one way to look at how companies organize their resource or manage their resource is called the process view. So this is what you have here on your screen, okay? So the process view is a way to understand what companies are doing and how they're managing their resource, to understand how they were able to provide that competitive capability. So you have here what we call the processes or operations. So what are process? Process are the sequence of activities that are creating value to the product, right? And that companies are making to transform the let's say raw materials into finished good products or services being delivered, right? So this is the big box of process, and companies do different steps in order to create that product, that value to the customer. We have inputs that companies need to use, so workers' time, managers, and equipment, facilities, materials, land, so all those things. In our simple McDonald's example, they need all that, and they take the steps to produce the Big Mac, right? They take the bread and they fry right? And then pan and blah blah blah, assemble, package, poof, and then you have your Big Mac, right? So put the lettuce, tomato, right? It's been a long time since I don't eat a Big Mac, so I was never a big fan. Anyway, so then your meal is ready, and that's the goods and services and money that they generate, right? And based on the use of their resources, they have information about performance, right? So they have their cost, their delivery speed, for example, the time that you wait in line, how many tables they're using. So all about performance metrics here, right? So this is kind of the framework that we're going to use to understand process steps, and we're going to do in class an example with a video that I'm going to show, and we're going to do this process maps, and I'll kind of ask you guys to give me some inputs and outputs, and we're going to do these kind of process maps as well.